All right, this movie, we're going to be talking about appearance. For Pete's sake, would you take a shower and just comb your hair? Really? I mean, we're talking about appearance here. I gotta try, right? I gotta try. Because if I just went into the geeky stuff, it just wouldn't be fun. Maybe it would be, but I have to have fun. I didn't even plan on that. That was ad lib. I was freestyling. That's what I do on this side of the screen. Okay, so appearance. Ding. I just got a text. Not gonna look at it. I'm working. Um, Anyways, appearance has a whole lot to do with the last movie, which was effects, and then it has a whole lot more to it. And really, what we're dealing with is a window pane called appearance. So here's the appearance panel. If you don't see it, you can go to Window, Appearance. And just for starters, what I have is I have this pink square on the center of my screen. I drew it with the rectangle tool. And if I look at the appearance panel, it tells me that I have an object that has a fill that is pink, and it has a stroke set to none. If I went to my stroke up here and I added a blue stroke around it, then you're going to see that reflected over here in the appearance window. If I change my stroke weight to 4, you're going to see that reflected over here in the appearance panel. So from first glance, it looks just kind of like another place to get the same info as what you could get on the what was I going to call it? I was going to call it contact bar. It's the control bar. But we could end up having much more play in here as far as the object that we have. Before I get too far into that, I just want to go to an effect and apply something to my shape. I'm going to put on the good old drop shadow. Get a little preview of that thing. Looks great. Maybe I'll take my blurriness down just to 8. Alright, so once I have committed to my drop shadow or any other effect that I have applied to this object, you will see it listed in your appearance window. So there is drop shadow. It's an effect. Lots of things I can do over here. I could just turn the little eyeball for it off and just ignore it. Kind of hide the drop shadow. Turn it back on. So you can already see that there's something unique about effects when you apply them. They are listed over here, which means if I want to get rid of one, I could just use some of these buttons along the bottom. The one on the far right is a trash can. I could just get rid of drop shadow. But let's say I didn't. I hit undo, brought it back. What if I also had an effect on there that was a twist? I'll twist it 15 degrees. No, let's go more than that, 45. Okay, there's my 45-degree twist. So now I've got this sort of twisty form to my square, and I have a drop shadow. And both of those are going to be listed in my appearance panel. They're kind of out of order, but you can actually grab these things and drag them around to different locations. And when you do start to maneuver around, sort of rearranging, changing the hierarchy of these things, you will get different results, and we'll play with that in a little bit. But now you can see I have 2 effects on the same object, and they're listed here. And if I wanted to tweak any of them, all I have to do is just click on the link for the named effect. So there's twist. If I want more twist, I'll just go click on twist. It opens it up. I might click on preview so I can see it. I'll go with a 90-degree twist, and let's go dramatic, 180. That's pretty cool. All right. So now I've got my twist. I have my drop shadow. If I want to, tweak my drop shadow, I could just click on the little word drop shadow opens it up, and I could increase my opacity or whatever. So that is what happens when you add effects to any object. It is listed and found for your convenience, your editing, your disposal, whatever, in the appearance panel. I really like what's going on with this shape. I'd love to hang out with this sort of twisted square that's floating off the surface of my artboard, but I am going to go back to just a square. So I'm going to take my drop shadow, I'm going to drag it into the trash can, twist into the trash can. So I'm back just with a pink square and a blue stroke. For the sake of this project or exercise, I think I'll increase my stroke weight to 8 just so we can see it. So anything you could do to a stroke up in the control bar, you can do it here. I could add dash lines or whatever. But what if I wanted to keep elaborating on this object? Maybe what's keeping me from adding 2 strokes to the same object? You're like, what? How can you add a second stroke to a square, man? It only has 1. Baloney. Rules. There are no rules in Illustrator. I want to add a new stroke. Well, check out this button down here at the bottom of your appearance panel. Add new stroke. If I click on add new stroke, I've added a new stroke. I would like to change the color of that stroke. How about we make it seafoam green, or whatever that green is that I'm looking at there on that swatch. So now I've got another stroke, but I can't see it. I mean, hold on, jumping ahead of myself. I can see it. I can see the green one, but I can't see the blue one. I just overwrote basically my my blue stroke. Not true. The blue stroke is still there. I just can't see it. So what happens if I take my stroke that is green on top and I make it a dashed line? Let's go with a, see, I have an 8-point weight, so I'll go 8 and 8. There we go. Nice and uniform. If you don't get what I just did, I had an 8-point weight. So if I want square dashes, then I should have an 8-point dash with an 8-point gap, and then that's uniform. But anyways, now you can see that on this, I should zoom in. Why am I so far away? That's funny, I haven't really thought about that through these videos. Give me some feedback. I know that I make my movies half the size of my screen when I compress them, so they're not huge. I haven't actually gone through and watched one of my things to I have, just to make sure I sound really good. But, from a user and a participator, make sure that I'm doing this okay. If you have the feedback of, man, I wish you'd make things bigger because I can't see them, you got to tell me. Otherwise, I'll never know. Anyways, back to this little piece of candy that we're making. You know what? That's a good idea. Making it candy. What I should do is I should just take the whole thing and I should just can I convert it into an ellipse? Yeah, I can. It's kind of big though. I'll go negative 10. I should go a little smaller than negative 20. I'm not going to answer it. I'm working. Geez, it's never happened before. How come tonight everyone wants to talk to me? I'm a popular dude. Okay, so I'm happy with this. What was that? Did you guys see that? That is not what I had before I hit OK. What is that all about? Whoa. Sorry, this shouldn't have happened. Let's Go back in here. Negative 20. Oh, it's because there we go. I mean, it's not bad like that. But relative versus absolute. I guess I shouldn't have gone relative. I just should have gone absolute. And I just should have said, like, let's go with like 100 by 100. Still kind of small. 400 by 400. No, too big. Gosh. 200 by 200. Fine. I'm happy. I'm going to go with it. I know what's happening. I am hitting tab, because I'm a tab dude. I'm hitting tab, and it's going down here, and I hit OK. But I don't want that. I want absolute. There. Fine. Great. Got it. Good. Whew. How much of my time have you just wasted? Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it. I'm a Willy Wonka fan. All right. So check it out. Back to what we were doing. All I had to do was say or think candy, and it screwed everything up. I had to go from a square to a circle because it's kind of more candy-like. And this doesn't even look like candy. It's kind of candy-colored. Actually, kind of reminds me of a poker chip. Poker. I like to play poker, but I never win. Unless I'm playing like with real people. I mean, like not at a casino or something. I take people's money. I always claim that I'm a beginner. All right, so what do we have if we go back to this business of two strokes? I have one stroke on top of another. The top stroke is green, and it is dashed, which means that I'm going to be able to see through it. If I turn my blue stroke off, that's what just a regular old dashed stroke on a solid would look like. It's kind of like half on, half off, depending on where... Oh, it's not going to let me align it. Sometimes it lets you align it, sometimes it doesn't. Right now, I'm not really sure why it doesn't. But anyways, it's the exact same stroke, the exact same weight, just a different color, and one of them's dashed. Now, we can get into some other things too, where we take the actual stroke itself and add an effect to it. And when we went through the effects, with the effects video, I skipped one of the effect groups called Path, because I wanted to save it for the appearance video, because it makes a little more sense here. What if I took, I'm going to take the dash off, no dash. So now I have two strokes, right on top of each other, and the one that's on top, the green one, has visual sort of dominance. But I can go to this other button down the bottom of this panel. It's called Effects. I can jump right to those effects that were up in the Effects menu. But in this case, I'm actually selecting the attribute that I want to add an effect to. It's not the entire object that is selected. I actually have this green stroke highlighted. It's highlighted in blue. So I'm going to add an effect to an attribute of my object, not the entire object. So I'm going to go to Path, and I'm going to check out this one here called Offset Path. I'm going to hit Preview to see what's going on. So it always defaults to a 10 pixel offset. And what that does is it allows in this case, the stroke to exist 10 pixels off of the original path. That's what offset means. You're offsetting its location, and here it's just 10 pixels outwards. If I changed it to 8, it should tighten right up next to that other stroke. So now I'm getting an object that has two strokes. You can actually see them. They're living right next to each other. And I didn't have to create any extra artwork. It's all from the original path that was instructed to be filled a certain color and stroked a certain color. Now I'm just adding another stroke, and I'm saying, I'd like that second stroke to live outside of the original path. This is super cool, by the way. So I could hit OK. I could select this stroke back in my appearance panel, and I could duplicate it by dragging it down onto the little folded page button, which is either, well, it's duplicate selected items in this case. So I just duplicated that same stroke that is existing outside. If you open up the little triangle on these things, you'll see that the stroke has, let's see, I'll do the blue one first. The stroke has an opacity value. The second stroke, the green one, has the opacity value plus the effect that I put on it. So if I wanted to tweak the effect for the stroke, I open up the little triangle for it. I can see the offset path. I could go right to it and tweak it. So both of these green strokes had the same offset. But what I might do is I might click on the green and make it orange. And then I'll go back to the dashed line. So now I have 3 strokes on one object. The blue stroke, a green and an orange stroke that have the offset effect applied to it. And the orange stroke has a dash. And it's getting to be a pretty elaborate design, all still based off of the one ellipse path that I drew. Whatever, I can do all kinds of stuff. I could go back to, whoops, I'm going to open that up. Go back to my offset path, and I could say instead of 8, let's make it 16. Preview that thing. And, now I've got this sort of like a gear, like a, are they called cogs? I think so. So 3 strokes all just right next to each other. The outer one is dashed. It doesn't have to be dashed, could be solid, whatever. If that were the case, I'd just go here and take the dash off, and now I'm starting to get kind of rainbowy, and pretty sweet. And at any point, if you don't like what you have, you can just turn off the eyeball for it, or you can delete it. So that's adding multiple strokes to the same object. And then you can also add fills. So this button that is at the bottom, that is between the add stroke and the effects, is add a new fill. And if I add a new fill, if nothing is selected, it goes right to the top. So I'm going to change its color. I'm going to make it this light blue. And this fill is now on top of everything else. So it's on top of all my strokes, it's on top of my other fill. I can change its order just by dragging it in the appearance panel. If I drag it between the original fill and the first stroke, now it just looks like I have a light blue circle that has the 3 outer strokes to it. But just like the strokes, you could also select it and add an effect to it. So I'm going to go to the effects button at the bottom, making sure that that fill is selected. I'm going to go to path, offset path, hit preview, and then I'm going to go negative. I'm going to go negative. Oh, let's try to keep things even. Since I have 8-point strokes, I'm going to go at intervals of 8. Maybe I'll go to I don't know. I'm trying to think of an interval of 8. 48, right? Isn't that right? I think so. God, so 48. I'm usually really good at math, but right now math is just not really present in my brain. But anyways, there's a negative 48 pixel offset, which means instead of going outside the original path, we're going in. So that's what the negative's doing. And it's a greater jump. It's a greater jump inwards, and so I get this sort of like core in the middle of this thing. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm just going to click off of that for now. So now nothing is selected. You can see all of the results of the different appearance work that we've done. And if I just click on it once, it's still just one shape. It's one object that I created, originally a square. So what happens if I go back to my appearance panel and I find the ellipse filter and just turn it off? This is what the original artwork would look like. This is not as fun, is it? A circle is way more appropriate for this sort of look. Oh, there's the thing that always gets me. I like to click off of my artwork just to sort of see it without that bounding box on it. And when you click off of it, sometimes you just jump right back to the appearance panel and start clicking on things and nothing's happening. Well, the only way that it can happen is if that artwork or that object is selected, and then you're dealing with it. I usually screw that up all the time. I'm surprised I haven't done it more while making this video, but I seem to be on. So these changes to the object, the different strokes, the different fills, and the offset of the path, or just a teeny little bit of what you could do. I can go put any effect on any of these attributes for this object. If I take that center fill and select it, go to my effects panel, I'll distort it, and I will, what'll I do? I'll roughen it. Oh, that's smooth. I want it to be smooth. Yeah, there we go. So there's the new fill in the middle that was nice and round, but now it's all kind of, crazy and rough. So you can apply any of those effects to any part of the appearance elements. I could even select that same center and put a drop shadow on there. So within one object, a whole lot of things could happen. What happens if I take that first stroke and put a drop shadow on that? We're going to go crazy. Look at that. I'm not really wild about that. Let's cancel. Let's go with an inner glow. Nope. Outer glow. Outer glow. Oh, that's interesting. I don't see anything. Because it's out here. That's why. If I turn that off, you'd see it. There it is. Well, so that didn't really work, did it? Didn't really work. Outer glow, bye-bye. I wanted to get a shadow inside. I guess I'll just bypass it. I think you get the point. So the next part of your homework is to explore adding new strokes, adding new fills, offsetting them, and then adding other effects to them, removing them, adding effect to the entire object, not just the attributes of it, and just experiments. And you may not go out with a goal in mind, but I think that after a little bit of play, you'll start to get some different creative ideas that you should just entertain and try to make something that is interesting and unique, or just random. In this case, I don't know what that would be. It almost looked like perhaps a scientific illustration of a cross-section of the Earth. Just the colors are all kind of out of order. And then in the middle is the explosive radiant nucleus of molten earthness. Yeah. All right. Next video we'll deal with graphic styles.